I've been feeling so down.
What is up, everyone? My name is Andrew. If you don't know me, you should subscribe because, like, why not? You should also hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. But anyway, today I'm very excited because I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book I'm going to be reviewing today is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. The beginning of this video will be non-spoiler, so don't worry, I will tell you before I get into spoilers. But if you don't know what this book is about, it is about a girl named Addie Larue who makes a deal with the devil to become immortal. And with that immortality comes a, consequence. And the consequence is that everyone she meets will forget her. So basically, like, she will talk to somebody, they will, like, know her, but whenever they leave the room, they automatically forget her and literally do not know who she is. So Addie has a very lonely life, and we see her going through all of that for years, centuries, 300 years. And then 300 years later, she meets this boy named Henry who can remember her. And the story is mostly about Addie Larue's life, but it also picks up whenever we are trying to figure out why Henry can remember her. And it's such an interesting plot. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved it. I did vlog myself reading it, and it's probably in my trick-or-treat-a-thon first vlog, so you should check that out if you want to see me cry. But anyway, I did do a lot of tabbing and everything, and I felt like the writing style of this book is what really got me. It had a very unique style. It was classic V.E. Schwab, but also had kind of a more sophisticated feeling to it than her other books. And so I really loved that. It reminded me a lot of The Shadow of the Wind in terms of the fact that I felt like it was art. I felt like it was more than just a book. It's very hard to articulate what I mean by that, but if you know, you know. And it was just really special, just such a special read to me. And I enjoyed it the entire time. I finished it in 2 days, probably like 5 sittings, so it went pretty fast for me. I really found the pacing to be okay. Usually longer books, I feel like I get really stunted with the pacing, but this one was okay for me. It does go back to the past. We're in like the late 1700s, then we're in 2013 present day, then we go back to like the early 1800s, then we're in present day, 1820s, it just goes like that and catches you up as you get to the meeting point of the present day. And I really thought that was cool. I mean, it was a good way to tell Addie Larue's life without just dumping all of, like, here's what she did when she grew up, and then here's present day. Like, it was very interesting. And the characters, there's not that many characters, probably like 5 or 6 main characters. And that makes sense because nobody can remember Addie, so it's not like she can have friends or anything. So I thought it was interesting the way V.E. Schwab still added characters and made it interesting for us as readers to, not just be stuck with one character. I did have a couple problems with the book. Mainly it was the lack of diversity in the characters. Like, I feel like they were all white, but I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, it still goes to show that she didn't make clear distinctions on what people look like, or it didn't really matter to the plot, so everybody just seemed like they were just the same, which is okay, but I would have liked to see more diverse characters from V.E. Schwab because she is not known for really having diverse characters. I mean, I've only read A Darker Shade of Magic, and there was only like one person who had like darker skin, and that was Alucard, so I was kind of expecting something more. Like, V.E. Schwab, you can give us a little more. That's all I'm saying. And then also she kind of, at the beginning, Addie kind of reminded me of Lila Bard, who was in A Darker Shade of Magic, her other series. She has this saying with female characters who are like, I don't like dresses, I like to dress like a boy. And it makes sense in this book because of the time period. So for Addie to be out at night, it makes sense for her to dress as a boy. But I don't know, there was just some kind of negative connotations to Addie wanting to wear dresses. It just didn't sit well with me, and she reminded me of Lila, and I didn't really like that. But it got away from that as the story went on, and then Addie was just like her own character, and I obviously love her now. I think that it is very easy to get hooked on the story. I think it's very interesting, the plot. I've never read anything really like this plot-wise, but I do see how some people could be bored if they don't care about Addie. It's hard for me to say if it's more character or plot-driven because I can read a book that's just character-driven. Like, if I like the characters, I'll read it all day. But if it's not character-driven and it's just plot-driven, I hate it. So, that's why I'm leaning towards the fact that this one was more character-driven, but there was also a good plot too, so it was a good mix. I loved the villain in this, the demon, or the devil, whatever he is. I thought that she did him really well, and he had his own motives and all of that. His overall arc was great. All of the characters had their own arc, and it took a surprising turn for me. This book delved into some mental health situations that I wasn't expecting. So, trigger warnings for suicidal thoughts and depression, and loneliness, definitely. But, yeah, besides that, I don't really have anything else to say. I love this book. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely suggest picking it up and giving it a try because it's a story that I will not forget and I will want to come back to over and over. So I definitely think it's worth it if you are on the fence. But if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. Learn about my girl Addie and Henry and Luck and everyone. Okay, that's all for the non-spoilers. So I am going to get into spoilers now. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the Invisible Life of Addie Larue, you can get out now. But I'm going to start talking about spoilers now. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I loved about this book. And I'll just name a couple of them. I didn't even take notes for this video. I just kind of wanted to go off my head. I just want to talk about Addie Larue. The story was so good. The way she wrote it, the way it was so thought out, I just absolutely loved it and ate it up. I think that Addie was so lonely, and I knew the plot for a long time. I knew the premise for a long time, but I didn't think about how lonely a life being immortal but being forever forgotten would be. And that was just something that I didn't expect us to delve into so much, which I should have known, but I didn't, and it was brilliant, I think. We really got to see how much Addie was getting fed up with not having anyone, and then of course seeing her go to Luck to have companionship. I did not know at the beginning, like I did not expect them to be that romantically involved by the end. There was one turning point whenever she made a comment about remembering Luck. Also, I don't even know if you call him Luck or Luke. Luce? I don't know, okay? I call him Luck. But there's a turning point when she said something about her and Luck and black silk sheets, and I was like, this girl did not. She did not sleep with the devil. I cannot believe her. Like, Addie, what is going on? And as the story goes on, I think that was thrown in at the perfect time because it kept me wanting to know if that's how I should have interpreted it. And so when we get to the end and you find out that Luck and Addie had a relationship, in the back of my mind, I was like, he's just doing this to get her to give up her soul. And then he even said it himself, that was what he was doing the whole time, and he bought her a house, and all of that just seemed like some giant fever dream. It was like, what is going on? And it just felt like we were like out of the main story, and every time we got taken back, to the past, it didn't really feel like we were completely pulled out of the story. But I did find myself a few times yearning to get back to the present, and then I felt like there was more past than present, which was good. I mean, I liked learning about Addie, but still, it was also interesting when we got to hear about Henry. But anyway, so whenever, at the very end, when Luck said that it was all a lie, like, of course he really loved her and all that stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I felt sympathy for him because he and his own existence is also lonely. And he only gets to, torment people and take their souls, but Addie is this, like, feisty and fiery girl who has made a game and made a war with him. And I thought that was so interesting. I think it could have been so easy for V.E. Schwab to make everything repetitive and boring, and it was not. It was funny, and she used, when B and I forgot his name, Henry's, ex-boyfriend, whenever they met Addie over and over again, it was always a little bit different, so it kept it interesting. And Also, all of the parts with all of the art and poems and songs about Addie and her freckles being the defining feature that everyone in history has known, and then B, writing her paper on Addie and not even knowing her, that she's met her, was great. I loved that plot line of the book. I found myself waiting to see the next art installment that Addie had been the muse of. I think that was just a great addition to the book, honestly. There was just so many quotes in this that I really loved. I will just pull a couple because I just want to talk about Addie, but so I opened to page 100 and it says, there can be no slow build, no quiet lust, intimacy fostered over days, weeks, months. Not for them. So she longs for the mornings, but she settles for the nights. And if it cannot be love, well, then at least it is not lonely. From that moment on, I really realized how lonely Addie was and how much that would suck to go to sleep with somebody and wake up and them not know you and have to repeat that all the time and never being able to settle down. She could not even have a job. She could not have a house. And I didn't think about that before. And it was just great to explore those things. I thought that Addie going back to her hometown, her small town, and seeing her family, her dad passed away, her mom not remembering her even when she's old, Estelle when she was dead, and going to her grave, all of that was painful, and it was something that was the reality of the deal that Addie made. Watching everyone you know die and not remember you either is just insanely sad. And I could see how living forever could drive you mad. And so there was a scene in the book. It says, "This is how you live forever. Here is one day, and here is the next, and the next. And you take what you can, savor every stolen second, cling to every moment until it's gone." I really liked that, and that's just a perfect example of the writing style being so great, and I ate that up so much. But living forever is so long that you just have to take it every second and be glad that you are going to get to live forever. All of the play-ons with being forgotten and remembered, and luck constantly reminding Addie that nobody is really going to remember her, was really clever, and it was thrown out sporadically throughout the book. And I loved that. There was one line by Luck when he's, trying to get Addie to join him and lose her soul. And Addie is questioning him why all the celebrities and everything would sell their soul and not want to live anymore. And Luck replies with, "Because happiness is brief and history is lasting. And in the end," he says, "everyone wants to be remembered." I just felt like anyone can resonate with that. I feel like we all do want to leave some lasting bit of ourselves in the world when we're gone. I think about how common people, like people who aren't celebrities and everything, the ways that we try to leave our own marks on people. And I wonder sometimes if the internet is still a thing in years and years and years when I'm gone, if somebody's gonna come across these videos and watch me talking about a super old book like this, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, people felt like that even then, and I feel the same way about this book that's super old." Just what is the future going to look like in a world where we're not in it? And are we going to be remembered? Is there going to be little pieces of us that people in the future find? It's just so interesting to me. When Addie and Henry's relationship finally developed, and it comes out that Henry is okay with the fact that Addie made a deal, because he also made a deal with Luck. I called it like 2 pages before. I did not expect it. I really thought that Henry was Luck in some way. I thought that he was pretending to be a person named Henry, but it was really Luck in disguise. And no, I felt like that could have been interesting, but it was way more interesting that he made a deal too, and it made so much sense. And I always knew that Luck had planned that. There was no way that it would be slip past him. I knew that he knew. So I knew there was going to be some shit to go down later, because Luck wasn't going to just let that happen. But when Henry and Addie finally got together, I did fall for their relationship. I felt like it evolved over enough time that when we finally figured out Henry's story and that he wanted to jump and he wanted to die, and he was literally over the edge, but he made that deal for one more year, just one more year. I felt like I really did know the characters, and I was invested. I was deeply invested. And so the back part of the book, the end part of the book, is just very heavy and painful, and it's just constant pain, like over and over, and that's the whole end of the book. But whenever I really thought Henry was gonna die, and then he's still there, and I was like, Addie, you did not, like, what did you do? What? And then Addie had essentially saved Henry by giving up herself to Luck, and I was like, oh no, but I was happy that Henry found his will to live, and that was not something I expected in this book. It was just so sad seeing somebody not want to live, and then they get one more year, and you see the difference in that a year can make, and make somebody want to live. And I'm getting emotional just because I feel like that's so relative to a lot of people. And Henry wanting to live just made me happy. It just made me really happy. And I love that is how V. Schwab went with it, and that Henry got to live, and he even was okay without Addie because he got to remember her, and he got to know her, and he wrote the book, The Invisible Life of Addie Larue, and that bookception, I love that. I love reading books that have the book inside a book, and the book is called, I love that. And then Addie, I'm like, I was okay with whatever happened to her because Henry was okay, and that was enough for Addie, and she had this long journey, which is all she ever wanted, to see the world. And then Addie is like, this war isn't done. I'll wait, and I'll be patient, because that's what Luck has taught me, and I will watch him crumble, and I will, fool him at his own game. And I just was so proud of her and Henry and how the story ended. It was perfect, really. I wouldn't have changed it. I'm really grateful that this book was so special to me. As I said, I will probably read this again and savor it. If anything, I would read the second half of the book over and over and over, because that is my favorite part. I thought the part with Henry was a bit slow. There is a large section, like from here to here, where I didn't have anything, and that's Henry's section. I liked that it was added in there because I guess that's what made me care for him and know him, but it was a little bit boring to me. Probably could have been a bit more interesting, but still glad it was there. Just like I said, didn't even have anything, and it was a pretty good chunk of the book, so I kind of was just like, let me get through, like I want to know Addie's POV, I don't want Henry's, but still, it was nice to have it all wrapped up and everything, and I loved how it ended, and I loved the book. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Please let me know if you've read the book in the comments. If you're gonna say spoilers, maybe put like spoiler and then put whatever, but let me know what you thought of it, because I'm incredibly interested in people who didn't like the book. I really want to go find some reviews for people who didn't, and see if there's things that I overlooked, because of course that's always possible, and I probably did overlook a few things, so I want to go and try to find those and dive more deep into the book and see what else other people took from it that I didn't take on the first read, and that I can, pick apart too. But if you loved it, also let me know, because I'm here for, fellow stans who love Addie. But that's gonna be pretty much the end. If you watched this video to the end, comment the little star, the little twinkle star emoji, so that I know you've stayed to the end, and also that I know that we all remember Addie. But that's all I'm going to say for this video. So I hope you like this video. Hope you like this video down below. Follow me on all my social media, which is linked in the description box, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
She said her favorite color yellow. It looked good on her dress. Trying to be slim, thick, nothing less. But she's falling in and